I think Batista was my next. The Great American Bash was 2007,
Right.
and it was supposed to be Mark Henry. And Mark Henry broke his kneecap in half, and I ended up stepping in, and we had 3 weeks to build it, 2 or 3 weeks to build, and that was another thing that changed my life. Just the fact that if you watch that match, I got busted open. I got hard weight, which another interesting story. I asked if I could get color in that match, and they said no, because Taker was wrestling in the Punjabi prison match that night, and they were supposed to get color.
Oh
So
man,
no.
I have a list of my top 10 Pujami prison matches. That was about number 3, I think.
And hell of a gimmick, hell of a gimmick. But I got
Hard
busted
way.
in hard weight and on the steps early, and I had a good mask going.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, my mom was in the front row too. This was in like Houston, Texas. I want to say she was sitting with Charmel's mom in the front row, or Booker T's mom, one of the two. And I got busted open hard way, and then at the end of the match, he throws me into the post, and I hit that post with my head so hard, almost see the ring move, and I just opened up like a faucet. And there was obviously, when I came through the curtain, some concern, whatever, and I was just like, "Is that okay?" You know. And Vince goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fucking good. I'm good." And he was like, you know.
Nice. Just getting booked to Batista and not losing in 90 seconds, that shows, hey, they have some plans for me.
That was a very, because I sort of thought that going into it. I was like, this might be it, like I might get squashed. And when I got to the arena, I asked Arn, "What are we doing?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's 50-50, back and forth." He just, and you're gonna get the win because he loses his shit at the end and doesn't relinquish the 5 count. And the blood ended up like being the perfect icing on the cake. Like it just fit. And that really, then a couple weeks later, Taker pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I saw what you did with Dave." He goes, "I think we could make some money together. I want to work with you. I'm gonna go to Vince." So he went to the boss, and like a week or two later, Taker came out to me and said, "We're gonna go into a program. We're gonna have like 3 or 4 pay-per-views out of it." So and then I ended up being married to him for like the next year.
You mentioned earlier you learned to be professional, but inside you're screaming, oh my God, this is, well, whoever. Forget being a professional. Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson, the fan. What was that like, getting a chance to have a program with The Undertaker?
Just to hear those words come out of his mouth was crazy. Um, and and then I remember standing in the ring. It was Oklahoma City. They put us together because he wanted to get a feel for me. He just wanted to do some house shows. And I walked up to him backstage, just like I did with Bob Holly. "Hey, what would you like to do tonight?" And he goes, "Let's just call it in the ring, honestly." He goes, just listen to me." He goes, "I will tell you everything. Just do what I say, and you know, we'll see how it goes." And he literally would be like, "Punch me." I'd punch him, kick me, kick him. He walked and talked through that whole thing. But I'm standing in the ring, I do my intro, and the lights go out, and you hear that gong, and I got goosebumps. And I remember just sitting there going, like, how the fuck did I get, you know?
That's amazing. What's the number one thing you learned from working with The Undertaker?
Uh, just listening to the crowd, just really listening. And he was so good at, we'd have like a couple things planned out, but we would see something else, or you get a reaction, you go this other way. There were times I was in the ring with him. We were in Portugal, and the crowd just, every time he'd grab my hand and back to the ropes, like he's going up for old school, they'd get it, and I would get a reaction, and it just wasn't getting any sort of reaction. And I remember him just like it was very early in our match, and he was like, you win some, you lose some. Let's take it home. And rather than just try to keep
Right.
a square peg into a round hole, we just went home. And that was but he was awesome to work with. I felt like he was like a big brother, father figure.
I remember one time, gosh, I must have been 20 years old. I was doing TV and I was in college, and I had asked one of my professors. I said, I'm doing TV. Can I get off? He says, you can get off if you get me an autographed picture of the Undertaker. And, when you're an extra, you're an enhancement guy. You just kind of like, you want to be there and not cause any. You want to blend in. So here I am. I go up. I'm like, Undertaker, I'm sorry to bother you. I said, but my professor, he comes back with a picture that says, you better give him an A, Undertaker. And it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was awesome. Does the office start treating you differently when you start working with top guys? And you start moving up the ladder?
I don't know. I never felt like that. I felt like I was treated well from the time that I got there. I was fortunate, you know. Um, no, not really. And it was like, I think they want to make sure that you don't get a big head about it, so they don't
Right.
really treat you any differently.
Sure.
But
Undertaker check.
everything is so professional there. It was such a tightly run ship. I
Right.
I do interviews and stuff like that. Hey, we need you to do interviews on your day off, which I always did. Some guys would complain about it. Like, it's my day off. But I was always looking at it as like it's free advertisement for me and my brand. There would be somebody from the office that would call and then like connect. So if we're doing this, it would be like, there would be a third party who would introduce us and then just kind of hang in the background. It was just so professional.
Undertaker checks. You start seeing, start going up working with him.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
It was nice. It was very nice. I was very fortunate that was a good year. It was a really good year for me.
Nice.
You know, to go from like where I was to opening the mailbox every week because you get paid every week and seeing those checks, I'd be like, this is crazy. Like I can't believe that.
Talk about your school.
Yeah. Just been running the school since 2016 here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and just trying to give people the opportunities that it took me 6 years to get to the WWE, and I had to sort of figure out the formula along the way, and lots of, you know, try things, it doesn't work, and just picking up little tidbits of information here and there and piecing it together. So I just wanted to just give people an opportunity to like cut out a lot of that extra work and make it a little easier for them. So I just try to teach everybody from, from ground up. I focus really heavily on basics, and I focus really heavily on psychology because I think storytelling is where it's at. And we've had several graduates. We've had, I think we have about 30 graduates. So not everybody graduates, but we've had some of our students. Dante and Darius Martin are in AEW as we speak. Julia Hart's in AEW. We got Tiffany Stratton, who's one of our students. Von Wagner is one of our students. Javier Bernal. So like we've had some success. Gable Steveson. So
If people want to find your information on your school, promoters want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
we have a website. So it's the Academy, SOPW.com. And or they can just text me directly at I've got a number. It's 507-722-2776. And that comes right to my phone and my wife's phone, and one of us will get back to you and figure out if anybody's interested in becoming a wrestler and you live in this area. We'd like to help